this is the parent function of a quadratic equation, y equals x squared. So that's just the basic, as basic as you can get with a quadratic function. It's just x squared. So once we start doing different things to it, so if we start adding a number, so we have x squared and we're adding a number, and you could see that on the example, they were calling that c. That is a vertical translation. So if we're adding the number, we're going to scooch up the parabola by that many units. If it's minus that number, we're going to scooch the parabola down by that many units. We do need 5 points in order to do this, so we are going to have x, y, like that. But because the parabola is not on 0, 0, like it would be with x squared, it's going to be up 1, it's going to be 0, 1. That is my vertex, because I have to scooch it up 1. So I want to do numbers that are around this one so that I can see the mirroring happening. So I have x squared, which we're choosing -2 squared, and then plus 1. So -2 squared is 4, plus 1 is 5. When I do 2, this should give me the exact same answer. So I have 4 squared plus 1 and 5. So I should be able to see this mirroring happening over the vertex. And then -1 squared plus 1. So I end up with -1 squared is 1 plus 1 is 2. So again, the same thing should happen here. I should have 1 squared plus 1. 1 squared is 1 plus 1 more is 2. So I can see that mirroring happening here, where here's my vertex, and then it'll be this U pattern around it. So it's not an absolute value. There's a difference between the two. When you're graphing this, be very careful. If you're doing it on paper, it should not look like a V. It should look like a U. It should have this nice soft curve to it. Well, and maybe not that soft, but it should have a curve to it. Because it's a parabola, not an absolute value. So they are definitely different. So let's go ahead and graph this guy. So we have 1, I'm going to go over 1 and up 2, and then over to 2 and up to 5. Boom. And I can see that mirroring happening here because I went over to 1, up to 2, so you can see that it's mirrored across. And then over to 2 and up to 5, over to -2 and up to 5. So that mirroring definitely is happening. When I click this button, it's going to mirror it for me. If for some reason this gives you a weird shape, I've had it give me this weird like W-shaped graph before, which is definitely a different style graph that we don't get into in IM2. Try to make sure that it's kind of close to the vertex, as close to the points as you can get to the vertex, because I've done it where it's a little higher, and for some reason it throws Alex off and it graphs something very, very funky.